Hello and welcome everybody. We are live. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. We're absolutely delighted to have you here for our live session about money worries. Hope that you can hear us. Please make sure your volume is turned up. Remember, this is live, so we may be subject to technological problems. Hopefully nothing will happen, but if we do suddenly disappear from your screens, we will try and get things up and running again as quickly as we can, so please do bear with us. We do have notes today to refer to. We'll try to keep any paper rustling to a minimum, but you may hear a bit of rustling in the background. So firstly, I'd just like to introduce our two charities. We are Citizens Advice in West Sussex, North South East, and our colleagues and friends, Citizens Advice, Arun and Chichester. And I'd like to introduce you to the team that's taking part in this event today. So firstly, we have Elliot. Hopefully Elliot will appear on the screen. Here he is. Hi, Elliot. Elliot is a specialist money and housing caseworker with many years of experience. So we're delighted to have him here with us today. And we also have Ross. And hopefully Ross will appear.
Morning.
So Ross is our debt team leader, really a massive expert in debt. So thank you both very much for joining us today. And also in the background, we have Paul, who is supporting with everything technology based, and will also be typing in all of the type chat that you'll see. And we also have Charlie with us today supporting on social media. So thank you to everybody. There he is. And finally, I'm Claire and I will be hosting today. So quick background about what we do in the local area. We are registered charities supporting people in West Sussex with problems that they may be facing. And this may include things like benefits, debt, housing, employment, and more. And through the pandemic, we've been helping people, particularly with worries around money, employment, questions around furlough and redundancy, and making sure that everyone has access to help. We've been part of the county, district, and borough council's community hubs, supporting people who have been isolated and vulnerable. All our advice is free, confidential, independent, and impartial, no matter what your circumstances or background, and no matter what your problem is. It's free for everybody. At the moment, we are offering advice by email, web chat, and phone. We have a free phone advice line number, which I think is appearing at the bottom of your screens at the moment. We do also have limited face-to-face and video appointments. So please do visit our website to check the latest information on how you can reach our advice team. So what are we here for today? So we know that people's finances are really under pressure due to the pandemic. We know that 1 in 3 people are dealing with a COVID-related loss of income. 7 million people are behind on a bill, and 500, sorry, I think I've got my figures wrong there, but many private tenants have also fallen behind on their rent. So we're going to be sharing some general help if you're worried about money to help you take control of your finances and feel more confident. Worries about money can lead to real stress and can affect your relationships. So we want to help stop that from happening. Seeking support and talking is the first step. So we'll be talking about help with budgeting, support if you've had a sudden income drop, support if you're worried about paying your bills, help you can access if you're worried about debt, and more. Please make sure you have a pen and paper handy in case you want to jot anything down. And also we may be able to answer a couple of questions from people who are watching today. So please do type your question into the comments section. We will probably not be able to answer all questions, but remember you can contact us directly for advice, and we're sharing the contact details throughout the chat. But please do remember that we are live on the internet. Your names can be seen next to anything you type. So we'd strongly advise you not to share any personal or confidential information. If you're talking about your work, please don't mention the name of your employer. And if you'd rather have a private chat with an advisor, please do contact us directly. We can only give general information today. For any personal or complex advice, please contact our advice teams directly via the details you can see at the bottom of your screen. And finally, remember that the information we're giving is correct today, which is Wednesday, the 3rd of February 2021, but guidance does change and it can go out of date. So please visit our website or contact us directly for the most up-to-date information. So let's begin. We are all here to talk about money worries, which many people are likely to experience in their lives, but which are heightened at the moment due to the effects of COVID. And we just wanted to go through some really common things that we're being asked by our clients. Firstly, we wanted to draw attention to budgeting, and I know that Elliot is going to talk more around this later, but we know that many people may be feeling their finances are out of their control and want to get things in order this year, and budgeting is a really great way to help with this. We can help you to make a budget. We have a budget calculator on our website, and hopefully this will be shared in the comments section and at the bottom of your screens. Thank you, Paul. You can track your incomings and outgoings. You can work out what you really need for you and your family and what your priority payments are. And we will be talking about priority payments. This will give you real peace of mind and really help that feeling of anxiety when you don't really know how much money you have coming in or going out. So leading on to our first proper question. So we've commonly been asked, I've been made redundant and I know I should prioritise my outgoings, but where do I start? So firstly, I'd like to bring Elliot onto the screen.
Hi, Claire.
Yes. Elliot, what help can you offer to people?
Well, it is certainly a tough time, especially people losing their jobs and not knowing where the next job is going to come from. People might find that they have less money coming in, although if they've been made redundant, they might have a lump sum. If they've been working there for 2 years, they might get a redundancy payment. There might be a little bit of money there coming in. A good way to start thinking about this and about budgeting in that time is to think about what are your non-priority bills and what are your priority bills to pay. So a non-priority bill would be something like having a TV package like Sky or something like something that's non-essential. Although certainly a TV package is certainly being used a lot more these days when everyone can't leave the house. A priority bill would be something like council tax or your rent, because you could lose your home if you don't pay your rent, or you could be sent to prison if you don't pay your council tax. As Claire said earlier, we have a great budgeting tool on our website, and you can use this to maybe work out how much you're spending going out and how much you have coming in to be able to work out where you should prioritise those sort of bills.
So yes, we can help you to work out which of your bills are priorities and which are non-priorities. So priorities are bills that you should be paying first. And Elliot mentioned council tax there. There is support available if you're eligible with council tax. You can get a reduction in your council tax, and we're hoping to be able to include that later. But there is also information on that on the Citizens Advice website. Generally, in terms of non-priority and priority bills, there's some great information on the Citizens Advice website. There is a link which we hope will be appearing, which can take you straight through to that information. But please contact us and we can help you to work that out too. Elliot, I also wanted to ask, we can help people to check if they're eligible for any benefits, can't we, such as job seekers allowance or universal credit?
Yeah, certainly. So a lot of people during this time are applying for benefits such as universal credit. There is a benefit calculator. I always tend to use, when giving advice to people, the Turn to Us website, www.turntous.org.uk. But I believe we also have one on the Citizens Advice website that's also just as good to use. A universal credit is an online application to do as well.
Yeah, we do have a benefit checker on our website. It's really easy to use, and our advisors can help you with that too. Can help you work out what you may be eligible for. And also, claiming benefits for the first time can be daunting, but we can support you to make those claims as well. In terms of universal credit, we have a specialist service for that. It's called the Universal Credit Help to Claim service. If you Google it, you can get through to all of the relevant contact details. And I think we will be sharing the link at the bottom of our screen as well. So please do contact us if you're worried about benefits. So moving on to the second question, my company put me on furlough, so I've got more money going out than coming in, and how can I manage that? Elliot, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, so generally in those sort of situations, people are generally likely going to be getting into debt over that time, because if you're spending more than you have coming in, that money has to come from somewhere, like a credit card or an overdraft. You can't, you can't do that sort of thing. So it's important to address that over time. Although it's probably not your most immediate concern at the moment, but you should look at addressing that, and perhaps maybe getting some debt advice from Citizens Advice, and maybe you could meet with one of our debt advisors. And we have lots of different ways and a variety of channels that you can access that. We have phone appointments, web chat, and we also offer limited face-to-face appointments at the moment as well. On a budgeting side, I'd also look at maybe working out why you're spending more money than you have coming in. If you just had a loss of income, it's probably likely you've got a car that you used to use for getting to work, and it's got high insurance, high petrol and things like that you used to pay out, and high and other bills, maybe getting to work if you're commuting. So maybe it's maybe worth putting together a spending diary to see maybe what sort of money that you're paying out and what money you have coming in, to see if it is actually the case that you are spending more than you have coming in, and if you are getting into debt by that figure. Sometimes I advise people to maybe just use a notebook, or maybe just something to write down what money you have coming in and what money you're spending, maybe keeping receipts, or maybe just use contactless payments so that it's easier to keep track of on your bank statement, maybe what you're spending.
So it doesn't have to be an amazingly complex spreadsheet, does it? It can just be as simple as writing it down into a notebook.
Even just a little A5 notebook sometimes, and maybe just to keep an idea about, maybe I don't need to buy all those luxury items. Maybe I don't need to have all those takeaways, maybe, and maybe it might get you thinking about where you're spending your money.
Yeah, thanks, Elliot. And I also wanted to ask Ross this question as well. Ross, our debt team leader. Is there anything you can add, Ross?
Yeah. So as much as possible, as Elliot was saying, people should be prioritising payments on their essential bills, such as their rent, their council tax, gas and electricity. Obviously, because the consequences of those are more severe, and we want to avoid those. So if by doing that, it means that people don't have enough money to buy food, then quite often they can get support from the food banks in the local area. And if they get in touch with ourselves, we can normally issue food vouchers for them to take to the food bank, so they can redeem those for food.
Fantastic. And actually that leads me on to the next question, which is, I haven't got enough money to pay gas and electric bills. What can I do? And we know that this is something that lots of people are worried about this winter, the extra pressure on finances. We can support you if you're worried about paying your energy or utility bills. No one should have to worry about choosing between heating their home and feeding their family. We can help in various ways to keep your home warm. If you're in an emergency, we can arrange fuel vouchers for prepayment meters, mobile phone top-ups, and also arrange payment for internet costs, which is vital for people who are homeschooling. But just to point out that there are eligibility criteria that you would need to meet. Contact us and we can talk it through with you. We can also give you wider advice around energy, including checking that you're claiming all the benefits you're entitled to, checking whether you could be on a better tariff, and if you're not, we can support you to make the switch to a better tariff, and also whether you could be using less energy in your home, so better for the environment as well. And we can also check if there may be grants or money available to help you pay your bills. And I know that Ross is going to talk a bit more about grants a little later. But please contact us by phone, email or web chat, and we can let you know how we might be able to help. So Elliot and Ross, is there any specific information around energy that you might be able to share now to help people? Maybe we'll ask Elliot first.
I know some people are probably worried that that they might be cut off and they're going to have a cold winter heating, or that the TV won't come on. If you're on a credit meter, that certainly wouldn't happen straight away. There was a process that electricity companies have to go through. A lot of times they have to get a court order to be able to do that. So unless you're aware of that coming, it's unlikely that's going to happen that quickly. If you are thinking that you are going to be cut off, I would come and seek further advice from us on that. So utility bills are a priority debt generally, because that's the consequence that they have of if you don't pay them, they will cut you off, and they might end up maybe having to fit a prepayment meter into your home unless you already have one. If you do have a prepayment meter and you're struggling to top it up, as Claire said, there are like top-up vouchers that we do at the CAB for people, and perhaps maybe you could come and see us for one of those, and maybe an appointment could be offered to you at that moment to see what's going on with your money and finances. Such as we could talk about budgeting, why can't you afford one of your priority payments, and that sort of thing.
So there's plenty of support available for you if you're worried about paying your bills. Please do give us a shout. And I wanted to ask Ross as well, because I think you were going to talk specifically around grants available from your energy provider. Yeah.
It's definitely worth checking to see if your energy provider has what they call a charitable trust, and that those usually are a fund where they can help pay some money towards people's bills in order to get those cleared so that people can start again. There's obviously no guarantee that those applications will be successful, but it's worth applying for. And if you get in touch with us, that's definitely something we can help you look into. And if necessary, we can assist you with the application.
Yeah, so please do get in touch with us, and we can help you work out what support we might be able to give. So moving on, I wanted to ask about credit cards. We are often asked, I've got lots of spending on my credit card and now I can't pay the bill. What do I do? And I think this might be the place where you want to have a pen and paper handy. So Elliot, could I ask you about that, please?
It sounds like if you're asking that question, that you might be some way off from having any major consequences of that. A lot of times, so a credit card is a non-priority debt, and a lot of times they have to go through a lot of steps, maybe get a county court judgment before anything majorly bad happens. You should give them a call if you can't pay. They may have different ways to help you that Ross might talk about in a second. They are very likely to apply interest and late payment charges to so the debt may get bigger, but you're probably some way off from bailiffs coming or anything with a major consequence just yet. So you should seek some debt advice from your local citizens advice office at this moment.
Okay, thanks, Elliot. Is there anything more specific, Ross, that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah. So borrowers might be eligible for a payment holiday on their credit cards for up to 6 months in total. Lenders currently are able to agree payment holidays for a maximum of 3 months at a time, and a total of 6 months, so two payment holidays during this situation. These must be applied for by the end of March this year, and currently all payment holidays must come to an end by the 31st of July 2021. If you have already had 6 months of payment holidays, then it's not possible to get a further payment holiday under the FCA guidance, though individual lenders might offer that themselves. So you should speak to your lenders to ask them what support they can offer you. If for any reason they say that they can't help or they've exhausted all the help they can offer to you, get in touch with us and then we can look at what other options you've got to deal with your debts and get them under control, really.
Okay, so just to check, presumably if you can pay your credit card bills, we would definitely recommend that you continue to do that, because you would need to pay it back, and there will be interest put on that as well. So don't apply for a payment holiday unless you really need to. And as Elliot and Ross both said, please contact us if you're worried about debt. It's always better to tackle it before the problem escalates, not just for practical reasons, but also because it will help to reduce your stress levels, the pressure on your family relationships, etc. Help you sleep better at night, to know that you are tackling it, and that you have the support of a charity like Citizens Advice. So please do get in touch with us. So moving on to the next question. My partner has walked out. I've now only got my income, and I'm really worried about how I'm going to cope. Where do I go for help?
Claire, this
Elliot.
is a really, this is a topic that's coming up more and more lately, especially during lockdown, and couples are breaking up more and more, we find. It also happens, relationship breakdown is a hot topic in January as well, we find, because people argue over Christmas time. It's an age-old thing that happens every year. So it's obviously really upsetting for anyone that's had that happen, and a family breakup or a couple breaking up is obviously not great. But you should look to maximize your income and see if you are getting all of the benefits you're entitled to. So maybe visit the benefit checker website that we looked at earlier. Maybe you could look to see what money you have coming in and what money you're spending, to see how you can manage now that you've got half an income coming in than you had before, perhaps. Your local Citizens Advice office could help you maybe with those two things. But yeah, I think you should maximize your income and look at where you're spending your money.
Okay, is there anything extra that somebody could get help with if they're in this situation and there are children involved, if they have dependents?
Yeah, certainly. So having children could mean that you're entitled to more benefits, such as the child element of universal credit, and you may not have been entitled to that previously when you had a partner living with you because of his earnings. This is based on, so universal credit is based on the income coming in, so that is, you may find you're now entitled to that. You should also speak to your local council about a single person discount now that you're probably the only adult in the house. That's 25% off your council tax, and maybe any council tax reduction, a benefit they can apply for, that maybe reduces your council tax bill now that you have now that you're on your own and you're potentially on benefits. But you could also look to maybe arrange maintenance payments from the person that's walked out for the children. But again, probably a bit of an afterthought, but that could get some more money coming in so they could help pay for those children as well.
Okay, and how would somebody go about getting maintenance? What would be the first step for that?
Yeah, so the courts always like to see your own arrangement made if possible. So you could look to maybe speak to a mediation service. I know locally we have the West Sussex Mediation Service, they're called. But you could look to try and maybe negotiate some sort of payments from the ex-partner. And if that isn't possible, then you could look to speak to the Child Maintenance Service.
Okay.
They have different options there to be able to get that money.
Thank you, Elliot. Paul, I wondered if we had any questions that have come in during the session at all.
Not at the moment. Nothing has come through just yet, but we're keeping an eye on it. Don't forget, you can comment in the box for Claire, Elliot, and Ross, and they can answer your questions. But at the moment, it's quiet, so hopefully everybody's pretty clued up, Claire, which is very, very good.
Great, that's good news. Well, we've got 5 minutes left, so we can ask a bit more information between ourselves. Another question we're frequently being asked is, we are so behind with our rent. We're really worried we'll be evicted. What can we do? Elliot and Ross, is there anything that you would like to share here?
This is obviously a complicated area, and it's always changing with the government rules around being evicted. At one point during the pandemic, they were changing on a daily basis. So I would start by saying that you probably should seek further help from your local citizens' advice about if you are worried about being evicted. Generally, landlords use what's called a Section 21 procedure to evict you, and at the moment, your landlord will need to give you 6 months' notice to be able to evict you using that procedure. So potentially, if you were to give one to you, you would still be in that property in 6 months' time or more, and you don't need to leave at the end of that notice expiring. If he's evicting you for rent arrears, it would depend on how much rent arrears that you had as to whether he could use a different type of notice to evict you. So I would seek some debt advice about whether or not there's any way to reduce those arrears to stop that from being possible.
And I know that you support plenty of clients through issues such as that, don't you? Yeah. So again, as we've said throughout, do get in touch with us. And Ross, I think there was something you wanted to add there around notice periods.
Yeah. As Elliot was saying, the rules on notice periods at the moment are quite complicated. Even if firstly, the landlord can't obtain a possession order until they've served you that notice correctly. So even if they did have a possession order, at the moment there's a freeze on any evictions taking place until at least the 21st of February. The only people who can be lawfully evicted at the moment are people living in properties illegally, people involved in antisocial behaviour, those who've given false information in order to obtain a tenancy, and those in England who owe 6 months or more in rent.
Okay.
And at the moment, I know we're talking about housing there, but bailiffs collecting other debts other than rent are still able to visit the property to attempt to seize goods to cover that debt. There is a campaign at the moment to try and stop this from being possible, but at the moment it is still lawful. So if you are visited by a bailiff for either rent or any other debt, we would encourage you to get in touch with your local office as soon as possible so you can get further advice on your situation and what you can do to get it under control and ideally resolve it.
Absolutely. It's really important to stress that if you are worried at all about bailiffs, please contact us straight away so that we can help. Thank you, Ross and Elliot. I can see that we're coming to the end of our time. So just wanted to start wrapping up by saying this has been a really whistle-stop tour. You can watch again. If we've gone through anything too quickly, you can watch again on our YouTube channel, as well as on Facebook or Twitter. We're also hoping to share shorter sections of this session with key information, so you don't have to go through the whole half hour again. But please do contact us if you need help. Don't worry on your own. Tackle money worries and debt as early as possible before they get worse and before your stress escalates. Our advisors and our caseworkers are really amazing, and we really hope that you will feel better having talked to us. We'd love to get some feedback on what you thought of this session. Please leave a message in the comments. Let us know if there's anything else you'd like us to talk about in a future live, what our subject areas could be. And also let us know if there's any way we could make this more accessible, any different languages you'd like us to translate into, whether it be useful for us to have British Sign Language translation. And finally, I've just got to thank everybody. Thank you very much to our experts, Elliot and Ross, for joining us, for the whole team behind the scenes. And thank you mostly to everybody watching for giving up your time to join us today. Please do share our contact details with your family and friends, at your community groups. Also, please do share them the link to this session. And follow us on social media to find out about any more live sessions that we have coming up. And finally, just to say thank you again and have a lovely day.